All right. Shh. Hush. Okay, so this is the last question from the warm-up. This last one is the last one we didn't get to, okay? In this case, we're given two sides of the triangle, and it wants you to find the angle. So if it says that A, which is here, is 5, B, which is here, is 6, and I'm trying to find angle A. How do we spell that word that we need? What's the acronym you need? Sohcahtoa. So I'm going to try to figure out where in relationship to the A is the 5 and the 6. So if I start with the 5, where in relationship to angle A is 5? Opposite, and 6 is? Adjacent. Which of the trig functions uses those two? Tangent. So the tangent of angle A equals the opposite side over the adjacent side. In this case, tangent of A is equal to 5 over 6. So because we are looking for the angle, remember there's two approaches. If we're looking for a side length, we use the regular buttons. If we're looking for the angle, we use what? The negative one. So I do tangent negative 1 of 5 divided by 6.
So if it says find side A,
then you use the regular button. So second, tangent 5 divided by 6, you should get 39.8. And it says to round this to the nearest degree, which would be what? How does 39.8 round? Good, 40.
do you put it like tan?
It depends on your calculator. So if your calculator, that's why I keep saying you gotta have it.
Tan, like on this side, you put it over tan and this the other side. Can you do that? You know what I'm saying?
My calculator has a tan on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you press it.
Listen, if your calculator does not store the word TAN when you type it, then you have to do it in the reverse order. You have to first do 5 divided by 6, hit equals, you're going to get a decimal, and then you hit second tan. And I'm going to say it one more time. If you come in with a calculator on Thursday and you ask me how it works, I'm going to laugh in your face. And I'm going to enjoy every second of it. Because for about 5 days, I've been telling you to bring a calculator and practice with the one that is on, you're going to use on your test. Okay?
What has to be under again?
Sorry?
Mode has to be under.
You should be in degrees. DEG. The test is that tan 45. The answer to that's 1. If you don't get 1, you're in the wrong. And I'll test it with you on Thursday. I'll say, hit tangent 45, make sure you're in the right mode. But if you, A, don't listen to me, B, don't know how to do that, then there goes 1/3 of your test, because trig is 1/3 of your test. It's 1/3 of the sections we covered, and you cannot do them without the calculator.
I just messed with my calculator.
Don't do that.
I don't know what happened. I was trying to get out of it.
All right, let's go back to this, right? So 8-1 started Pythagorean Theorem, right? If we have a right triangle, then the Pythagorean Theorem helps us solve for a side. And what is the Pythagorean Theorem? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Which one goes by itself? C. So if I look at A, which of those sides is going by itself? Y. How do I know that's the hypotenuse? It's good. It's opposite the 90 degrees. So this is 6 squared plus 10 squared equals Y squared. This becomes 36 plus 100, which is 136. Now here's what you cannot do. Get your calculator and hit the square root of 136 and get an answer. It's going to be wrong. You have to keep it, and the directions say keep it as a simplified radical. So I'm going to first test to see if I can simplify this. I'm going to break it down. 2 would go into it. So 136 divided by 2. If you want to do that on your calculator, go for it. And then 2 and 34. And 2 and 17. You with me so far? So 136 is the same thing as saying 2 times 2 times 2 times 17. How many of the number do you bring to the outside? So if there's 2 of a number, I bring 1 of that number to the outside. These don't have a match, so they stay underneath. And I get 2 square root 34. Everybody good on that one? Okay, then you had ones with square roots, right? But I still know it's a hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle, so that goes by itself this time. 6 squared plus y squared would equal the square root of 67 squared. What's 6 squared?
36.
What's the square root of 67 squared? 67. Subtract that 36. Y squared equals 31. Square root both sides. Can you break 31 down at all? No, it's prime, so it stays exactly as it is. All right, you do A and B. All right, A should have been square root of 437. It's big, but it does not break down. It's prime.
Oh, that's what I got.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
B was square root 98, which becomes 7 root 2. Questions?
Why am I so smart?
I will tell you that mistakes made on the quiz on these questions were putting the wrong sides together. That's it. Like, there was some silly mistakes on the arithmetic, but overall, it was you put the C on the side with the A and the B. So make sure you identify which one's on the side by itself, which should be opposite the right angle, opposite the right angle. Those are the ones that go by themselves. And again, you're going to show me all these steps. You show me none of these steps, you get it wrong, you lose all those points. But if you show me steps and get it wrong, at least your steps are sort of on the right track. I can give you partial credit.
So if I always put that the number that's the opposite of the 90 degree angle is C, it doesn't matter which is A.
Correct.
Under the 49 is that a
Under the 49 is a 7 and a 7. Yep. All right, then came the converse. This was still 8-1. Converse said, if C squared equals A squared plus B squared, then the triangle's what? Right. If C squared is less than acute, if it's less than, it's acute. And if it's greater than? Obtuse. But again, you have to identify the biggest side. So if it helps you to circle what's across the right angle here to make sure that that's C, do it. If it helps you to circle the biggest one here, then do it. It's not necessarily always in order. So for A, I would say 10 squared has what relationship to 4 squared plus 8 squared? This would be 100, 16, 64, and I get 180. Is 100 equal to, less than, or greater than 80? Greater than, which makes this obtuse. Then I go to B. 6 is the biggest. It goes by itself. 4 squared, 5 squared. I get 36, 16, 25. 36 has what relationship to 41? less than, which makes this a cube. Yep.
Yeah, I do.
Where is C? You square it first, so that would be like 1165.
Yep. And then it's easier to identify what's the biggest. Yep. But then you don't have to square it again in the equation, right? I got to divide both sides by the square root of 2. Can you leave a root in the denominator? No, so we rationalize it by multiplying both the top and the bottom by that same root. And I get 14 times the square root of 2 over square root 2 times square root 2, which is 2. Good. Square root 4, which would be 2. It's here. Magically appeared there on your paper. So I took that side, right? I just rewrote it here. And then I have to solve for a. Now, is 14 square root 2 over 2 as simplified as it can be? No, because both the numbers on the outside are divisible by 2, right? So this becomes good. And 7 root 2 is a, which means this is 7 root 2, and so is this.
And that's the answer?
Yep, x is 7 root 2.
So for A, the answer was 5 root 2?
For a, x was 5.
No, like that, like the one before this one.
Yeah, x was 5, and y was 5 root 2. So there's two different scenarios with 45, 45. Either I give you the side opposite the 45, and you just duplicate on the other side and then multiply it times root 2 to get the third side. The other is if I give you opposite the 90, then you have to divide it by root 2 to get what a is. The highlighted ones are the answers. All right, you do B. All right, then came 30, 60, 90. So the first thing you're going to have to do is look at a triangle and figure out if it's 45, 45, or 30, 60, 90, right? There's going to be angles there, so you know. This one's 30, 60, 90. What's the relationship between the sides here? What goes opposite the 30?
A squared.
Nope. Nope. The smallest one. Smallest one is A. Opposite the 60 is the middle length one. A root 3. Opposite the 90, 2A.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the opposite.
So here, let me add Y here so that we answer both of these.
I was still wrong regardless.
Okay, so now this triangle is changing directions. You have to still figure out the same ratio. Opposite the 30 would be the A. Opposite the 60 would be the A root 3. Opposite the 90 would be the 2A. So if I give you the side that is A, 12 is A here, then I'm just going to take it and plug it in here. This would be 12 root 3, and this would be 2 times 12, or 24. So if you're given the side that is A, then you're just plugging it into the other two sides, right? 2 times A, or 2 times 12, 24. Yeah, they're going to move, so you got to get used to it. Yeah.
So wherever the 30
Opposite 30 is the A.
squared is always the A square root.
Opposite 30 is the A. Opposite the 60 is A root 3. Opposite the 90 is 2A. Opposite the 30 was A. Opposite the 60 was A root 3. Opposite the 90 was 2A. I gave you this side, which means I gave you A. So if A is 12, then I take it and plug it in here. 12 times root 3 is the answer. I take the A, I plug it in here. 12 times 2 is 24. So that's the case where they give you the A. Now look at B. This would be the 30, which means this is A. This is A root 3. This is 2A. So which side did I give you?
24. You don't have to divide 2 by each side.
Good. So 24 equals 2A. That means A is 12.
K is 12 and J is 12 squared.
Good.
Wait, why is 12?
Because 2A was 24. So if 2A equals 24, divide both sides by 2, you get A is 12. The only time you don't have to solve for A is when I give you A. The other two times you're going to have to solve for A. Like the C, you're going to have to solve for A too, right? So C, again, this would be the 30 now. This would be A. This would be, well, I should have gone in order. This would be A root 3. This would be 2A. So what side did I give you this time? A root 3. 12 equals A root 3. Now I got to divide both sides by root 3.
Yeah.
And then you got to rationalize. And then you can simplify. Yep. Sure. So that's A.
I took the times by 2.
Well, for this side I don't. This would be 4 root 3. This side I have to do 2 times 4 root 3. Wait, Skylar, you need to take the pass.
Across the 60 is
A root 3.
I thought we had,
So that's the hardest one when you're given the opposite the 60, because you have to divide by the root 3. But it's the same process every time. If you're given opposite the 30, then you just have to multiply. If you're given opposite the 90, you got to divide by 2 and then plug the A in. If you're given opposite the 60, you divide by root 3. All right, then came trig, right? So this is Sohcahtoa. And we split this into 2 days. The first day was when we were finding the trig functions or a side of the triangle. The second day was when we were finding the angles. So there's all these different types of problems. The first one, you're given all 3 side lengths, and it's just asking you for the ratio. It's going to say, write it in simplified fraction form, which again means I don't want a decimal. I don't want you getting your calculator out and dividing these numbers, okay? So if I want to find the sine of A, then I want the side opposite A, because sine is opposite hypotenuse, which is 6. Hypotenuse of this triangle, 10. Is that a simplified fraction? That becomes 3/5.
that's it?
Yeah,
How do you know you're finding sine?
because it said sine, cosine, tangent. Now I want to find cosine, right? Which is adjacent hypotenuse. So that's 8 over 10, or 4/5. Then tangent of A, opposite, adjacent, 3/4. Okay, these should be easy gimme questions unless you have no idea how to use your calculator. Probably 1. Yes. So I would hit sine 35. What I say, nearest 10th. So this would be 0.6.
Wait, we're doing the same thing for the other side.
Yeah, I'm going to let you do that on your own, though. So I'm going to work through these, and then I'm going to let you do these the rest on your own. Cosine 37, 0.8. Tangent 68. I typed that in the calculator. 2.5. All you do is hit sine 35, cosine 37, tangent 68. Sine 35 equals. No, it's sine. Sine 35 should be 0.6. Rounded. Guys, shh. Then comes solving. So this is from the one from the day before yesterday. Not the stuff we learned yesterday because that was the angles. The day before. So I'm going to look at the triangle. I'm going to figure out what angle I'm given, which is 17. X. Hang on. X would be opposite. 16 would be, which means tangent of 17 equals x over 16, and 16 times the tangent of 17 equals x. When you look at the next one, the angle is 17 again here, but the sides are here and here. 16 would be adjacent to 17. X is the hypotenuse. So with Sohcahtoa, the adjacent and the hypotenuse comes from cosine. The cosine of 17 would equal adjacent, which is 16, over hypotenuse, which is x. When the variable's on the bottom, I'm going to put these both over 1 so I can cross multiply. and then divide. And 16 divided by the cosine of 17 is 16.73. Last one, 17 is here, x is opposite it, and 21 is the hypotenuse. Sine is opposite hypotenuse, so this would be the sine of 17 equals x over 21. Numbers in the bottom, so I just multiply. 21 times the sine of 17 equals x. And x is 6.139 or 14. Next comes calculator-based questions. So we're going to round these to the nearest degree. So opposite of what we did before with these, where we were given the angle and we wanted to know the ratio, this time we know the trig function and we want to know the angle. So we do the negative ones. Sine negative 1, 0.35. And that's 20.4, which is going to round to 20 degrees. Cosine negative 1.37, which is 68.2, rounds to 68 degrees. And tangent negative 1.68. And I get 34.2, which rounds to 34 degrees. And the last one, which is how we started the day. This time I'm looking for the angle here. 6 would be opposite, 11 would be adjacent. That's tangent of x degrees equals 6 over 11. So I do tangent negative 1, 6 over 11, because we're looking for the degree. And I do second tangent, 6 divided by 11. And I get that x would equal 28.6, which is going to be 29 degrees. Okay, remember to complete the right side problems that we did not get to, and then submit the entire note for homework tonight. Have a great day.